Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
Tonight we're going to be talking about Real Housewives of New York, Season 15, Episode 15, Paradise Lost. But before we begin, I'd like to give a trigger warning. This episode contains discussions of sexual assault, which may be distressing for some listeners. If this topic is triggering or uncomfortable for you, we encourage you to prioritize your well-being and skip this episode or fast forward through the discussion. If you or someone you know needs support, please consider reaching out to a trusted friend, counselor, or an organization like National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-4673. Take care of yourself. Okay, so we jump into night 3 in Puerto Rico, and Erin is saying never again. Jessel told Sai that Erin said it was only Brynn and Sai talking shit about Jessel. So this goes back to when they were outside on the lounge chair at the pool, and they were all It was Jessel, Brynn, and Erin. Mm-hmm. No, it was Sai, Brynn, and Erin, and they started talking about Jessel.
Right.
Then Sai told Ubah about it, and Ubah told Sai that she needed to come clean with Jessel.
Yes.
So Sai went to Jessel, and she came clean, and Jessel went to Erin afterwards, and she was all upset.
Mm-hmm.
And Erin's like, maybe you should, this is the last time I'm going to stick up for you again. Like, I was just trying to, be there for you, which she really wasn't.
She wasn't.
No. And then Erin goes in and sits down, and she's like, maybe your husband should apologize to Sai for calling her bipolar. And then Sai tells Jessel that she was offended by that. And Jessel didn't realize that she was that offended by it. And, Sai starts crying. And Jessel gets up and she goes over there. She apologizes to her. She's like, listen, I'm so sorry. And I think that at that point, they were kind of past that. Then Erin, Sai, and Jessel and Brynn all hug, and they decide that they're going to go get a drink.
I got to be honest with you. I understand Sai being upset over the bipolar comment, especially since her mother struggled with mental illness.
Right.
But she just got done saying, I just ignore Pavitt. I just ignore him. It doesn't matter. And then she got so upset.
I mean, this is what I think happened. First of all, that was, I think, the day before when they were outside at the pool, right? I think that was on day 2. This day is later on in the evening, and they have been drinking all day.
Good point.
They had been drinking all day. And you know what happens when you
get emotional?
You get emotional. And things that, didn't bother you before now bother you.
Very true.
And everything becomes heightened. And I didn't really think about that, to be quite honest with you. And so, because this episode, I actually watched it. I didn't take notes because you had texted me, it's really good. And I was like, I got to watch it because I know there's going to be spoilers and I have to watch it.
Yeah, of course.
So I watched it. I didn't take notes. And then I rewatched it again today and I took my notes and I was like, you know what? The more I watch this episode, the second time, the more I see that at that point, they were just all drunk. I mean, obviously not Ubah and not Jenna because they weren't really drinking.
They
but
drank, yeah.
Everyone else had been drinking quite a bit.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So then Erin, Sai, and Jessel, they all hug and they decide to go get a drink and they're all good. And they go into Raquel and Jenna's room and they're all agreeing that Ubah's overreacted and that she needs to stop calling Brynn a whore. Ubah comes down the hall and she walks in and she's like, what's going on? And Erin said, you really need to stop calling Brynn a whore. She's like, I didn't call her a whore. I told her that I said you told her she had a dick in her mouth. And Ubah said, I didn't say that. Brynn said it. And that is what happened. Brynn is the one who said it.
Exactly what happened.
So Ubah
Jenna was right.
Pool.
Jenna said this is all semantics. They're both slinging insults at each other.
Right.
It's just semantics at this point. And she was right.
Yes, it was semantics. And it was when she was getting out of the pool because Brynn was yelling at her. Brynn was being sarcastic about what she had said the day before about her sleeping with someone to get the job. And then Sai says, listen, I think that you two were just trying to hurt each other, which is absolutely true. Ubah said it again. I didn't say put a dick in her mouth. Brynn said that was sarcasm because of what you said earlier, that I slept with somebody to get this job. Ubah said, kept saying, I didn't say anything about a dick. And then Brynn gets up and she's saying to Ubah, when did I like do anything aside like work my ass off? And then Ubah said, of course, you know, you're being a narcissistic bitch. And it just, from there, it just blew up. They're all yelling. Brynn's yelling. It's delusional to say that I fuck men for a job. It's delusional to say that you're Naomi Campbell. She just starts like blurting everything out. Like I said, now looking back at it, she was drunk. She was really drunk.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny because the reason I think I didn't see it the first time is because when we're used to seeing these housewives drunk, we're used to seeing them sloppy drunk. Like,
yes.
And like, in my mind, it wasn't them being sloppy. It was just them screaming and yelling at each other, which they would have done if they weren't drinking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, It didn't come across to me as drunk. Brynn said she thinks that I fuck dudes for money. And then all the ladies like, no, nobody said that. Raquel is very emotional. She gets up and she hugs Brynn. And then she starts with, Brynn says, why can't a black woman make money? Why can't a black woman be successful? Then Ubah comes in and pulls Erin out.
Which is a silly thing for her to say, considering that Ubah is the one she's accusing of saying these things. And Ubah is a successful black woman. So you're right. I think alcohol really played a huge part. Well, we'll see, you know.
Yeah. And then Ubah pulls Erin out and Brynn says, Brynn's still in the other room and she's telling the other women, I fucked 10 people in my whole life. Ubah says, like, yesterday I sat in the corner minding my own business and Brynn was coming at me. And she was. And they've all acknowledged that Brynn knows that Ubah gets hot and she just keeps poking and poking and poking until she gets...
I think Erin and Sai were giving Ubah good advice, like telling her, like, just walk away.
Right.
When she baits you, just walk away, which is, like you're saying, what she was doing the day before. She was just trying to stay out of the mix and just stay by herself. And Brynn was still calling her out for it.
Exactly. Then
in the other room, Brynn's saying how she's so worried about her kids one day seeing the show and what Ubah said about her. Aren't you worried about your kids seeing you basically tell Erin you want to, one, fuck her husband, and two, maybe, may he rest in peace, maybe get with her dad? Like, what about your behavior on the show? You're not worried about your kids seeing that?
Right. But again,
she's drunk.
She's drunk because then the next thing is, while that's going on in the other room, Raquel comes in and says that there's food here. I know everyone's been drinking a lot. And that's really kind of when it hit me. And then Erin and Sai, they start cracking up. And then she's
Ubah
like,
says, get the hell out of here or something.
Yeah, Ubah's, and then Erin says to Sai, or Sai says to Erin, have another drink. And then they like pour wine in each other's mouth. Like they're drinking more. And I was like, oh, they really are. Erin drinks and she drinks more. They're like, we are so dysfunctional. Ubah says, I don't really care. I'll go do it for the sake of everyone else. Like, I'm going to go and I'm going to go apologize. And like you said, in the other room, Brynn is telling the ladies, you know, I'm going to, and then when she says about my kids, that's when she's like, I'm going through stuff. I'm in a support group for sexual assault victims. And Ubah knows this. Before BravoCon, I called Ubah and she knows I was effing raped and I'm still dealing with shit. And then she's telling people I suck dick for work. And I'm just like, and all the ladies were like, what is going on? What is going on?
I mean, Raquel's face was like, utter shock.
Yeah. And then Brynn in her confessional, she says, this is the reason that the Jeff Lewis thing upset me. I'm still dealing with stuff. It's like, it's not okay for all I've fucking been through. The ladies say it's not okay. Raquel's crying in her confessional. My heart is broken for her. It's too common of a story, unfortunately. And then Jenna says, this kind of violation is horrible. And it is. When they're all talking about it, like, I'm not sure, are they talking about what Brynn said, that Ubah knew about it, or that she was sexually assaulted? Right? Like, it's hard to tell. It's hard to follow at this point.
Well, I think that they obviously were all very sad for Brynn that she had gone through that.
Right.
And at the same time, in utter shock that
Ubah would
make any kind of accusations knowing what Brynn had been through. I think
Right.
it was a combination of both.
Yeah. So then Erin and Sai come out from talking to Ubah, and everyone's upset and they're crying and they're all like, well, what's going on? And they're like, well, it's not our business to share. Like, this isn't our information to share. So then Ubah pulls Brynn outside to try and talk to Brynn, and they're outside and they're sitting down by themselves. And it was his first and foremost, I want to apologize. So she was trying. Like, she's like, I want to
Absolutely.
apologize. I didn't,
Absolutely.
I didn't mean that. And Brynn says, what? What didn't you mean? She's like, what I said about you sleeping with someone to get this job. Brynn's like, you said I sucked dicks. Ubah said, I didn't say that.
Yeah, she kept insisting that Ubah said that. I didn't pick up that she was super drunk, but you know what? That right there is an indicator that she was super drunk. She thought she heard something she didn't hear. She said it. Brynn's the one who said it.
She's the one who said it. And Ubah's like, I said I'm here to apologize. Brynn says, then apologize properly. And then she gets up and walks away. And then Brynn says, saying I'm sorry for saying I sucked. That's what you need to say. Say I'm sorry for saying I sucked dick. And Ubah's like, I can't say that because I didn't say that. And she walks away and she's like, go fuck yourself. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her
at all. I have it written down. Brynn is the problem right now. She's the problem.
And we know that Ubah's sober. She knows what she said.
Exactly.
So then Erin goes up to Brynn. She's like, I love you so much. I don't want anyone else calling you names. Now, she doesn't even know about the other part of this story yet.
Right.
They all finished eating, and then they all agreed that they're going to go to bed. Production starts taking everyone's mics away. They start closing doors. And then we see Jessel goes into Ubah's room.
Thank God Jessel went into Ubah's room.
And tells her what Brynn told the ladies. And you just hear her screaming. Jessel says in her confessional, you could see it on her face. Like she was completely blindsided.
Did not know.
She had no idea. Then Sai makes her way into the room and she says she's sees her on the floor in a ball, crying and shaking.
Allah strike me down and kill my firstborn if I knew that. I mean, for somebody who's having fibroid surgery and embarking on very worrisome, fertility track, she wouldn't say that if she weren't 100% positive she did not know what Brynn's saying she knew.
Yep. And then she goes, and we didn't see this, but Raquel said it in her confessional. She goes into Raquel and Jenna's room and she gets right in Jenna's face.
Yeah, they probably couldn't get the cameras up fast enough for that.
Yeah.
Right?
She's like, if you believe that I would do this, that's if you believe this. And at that point, they didn't even have any time to process anything. It all hit them so fast.
Yeah. They thought they were going to bed.
Right. Then Brynn comes out and said, what's going on? And then Brynn starts Brynn starts telling Erin the story about what she went through. Because at that point, Erin didn't even know what was going on.
Right.
Because she wasn't in the room originally. And she tells what happened, in her confessional, she says, last year before BravoCon, one of her family members had an attempted suicide. And she called up Ubah to confide in her. And she was spiraling that, this shit happens to me all the time. I was hysterical. I don't know if she remembered, but in my mind, she knew.
She said, I said it, but now that I think about it, maybe she didn't clock it.
Right. Right. And Jessel's like, I've never seen Ubah this way. And then Ubah in her confessional says there's only 3 people who know the truth. Me, her, and God. And then the producers tell Ubah to go. They're taking her to a hotel. Jessel goes with her. And Jessel says, she's in a difficult position right now because, listen, she understands the trauma that Brynn just dropped on them. But watching what Ubah's going through, Ubah's in the middle of a trauma right this minute.
Right.
Right this minute.
Right.
So, what she did for being there. And she's, Ubah has been good to her this whole season.
Yeah, she has.
So then in the other room, all the ladies are there and they're talking and Brynn starts telling the story again. And Sai asks Brynn, do you know for a fact that Ubah knew? And then Brynn says, well, come to think of it, maybe she didn't clock it. What? And then all of a sudden the ladies start to question her honesty. And Erin says, I will bet on my life that Ubah did not know. There's no way she would have said that if she knew. So they all agree that they're going to go to bed. And then the women are still in there whispering, talking. And then Brynn makes her
goes
way back
in.
in the right, and she's trying to like gauge the room to see what's going on.
Check the temperature.
Right. But again, she's drunk and not really thinking clear. Because then we see the next morning, before the cameras go up, the producers sit down with Brynn to make sure she's okay.
Because she texts somebody in the middle of the night and said, I want to leave.
She texts one of the producers. Yep. She
Okay.
texted one of the producers and she said, I want to leave. And the producer said, okay.
There's a flight leaving at 12. Or
I'll make it happen. You know, I'll get you out of here. We'll make it happen. So then Sai walks in and, you know, she's like, I didn't sleep well last night. And Brynn says to her, yeah, I said I wanted to leave and, you know, I wasn't feeling well. Well, Sai's like, are you feeling any better now? And she's like, well, not really. But, you know, we've got a lot to do today. Like we're going horseback riding and we're doing this. And maybe I can just like, you know, like suck it up and we'll deal with this later.
Yeah. She's like, I could do a 180. I'm psychotic.
Yeah. I'm a fucking psycho like that. What? I mean, that's
crazy.
And I don't even know, like, does she know what happened? Like, did she black out?
I don't think she has a clear understanding of what went down. I don't know if the producers were there to like debrief her, like to tell her, this is what happened. This is what you said. And this is how Ubah responded. Like, you know, it would be nice to know if they did fill her in on that.
Something tells me that they did not, because, you know, we see the scenes for next week's reunion at the end, and it doesn't look good.
No, I mean, the fact that she got up and tried to act like nothing was wrong and that they could just go on with their day after, I mean, that got explosive a couple of times.
Right.
Not just once.
Right. It was crazy. It was crazy.
So then they must have gotten Brynn out of there before Ubah came back, right?
Yes, they did. So then Brynn leaves and the ladies are outside, they're talking and they're waiting for Ubah and Jessel to get back. And all the ladies agree that there's no way that Ubah knew. And then Erin says,
I said to her, you got to go.
Yeah.
So I said to Brynn, you got to go.
Yeah, she did. And she did have to go. She was right.
Mm-hmm.
And Erin says to Jenna, well, now you know I didn't call you poor.
Yeah.
And Raquel says, or she wasn't in on the prank. Like,
right.
She wasn't in on the prank.
Right.
And then Erin, in her confessional, she says, Brynn has a long history of taking a comment when we're not filming and then flipping them and twisting them and using it for herself.
Yeah.
And she does. But listen, also think, because one, we already discussed, we think she was very drunk. I also think that this is the chaos that she is used to from her childhood trauma,
sure.
from the way she grew up and what she had to deal with. She's just used to being like this, doing a 180, just flipping the switch on and off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is horrible. It's a horrible way to live.
And listen, everything else that has gone on this season was trivial. This is so serious. And she, of all people, having been victim to it, should understand that.
Right.
I don't think she really, I think that she thought she was just going to say it. Well, again, she was probably very drunk. I think she thought she was going to say it. Everybody was going to believe her. Everybody was going to feel bad for her and get mad at Ubah. But somehow they were going to be able to move on. But you can't accuse somebody of that and think that they're going to move on. This is her credibility. This is her character.
Right.
I don't know if Raquel said it on the show or on Watch What Happens Live, but she said she flew back with Ubah. I guess she sat next to her and Ubah was hysterical because she was like, what is Oliver going to think of me now?
Yeah.
Which is that's
a horrible thing.
Horrible.
Yeah.
She wasn't even worried about the American public.
right.
Which I'm sure in a way she was, but she was more worried about her partner who she's trying to build a future with. That's so sad.
It is sad. It really is.
It's very irresponsible on Brynn's part, and I know we all say and do things when we're drunk, but this was bad. And I felt the whole episode, I still blame Brynn.
Oh, it's totally Brynn's fault.
I still blame Brynn. But even before this whole thing happened, and now it's like, oh my God, she's just a mess. She's a mess.
The interesting thing is this whole season, Ubah came off really hot.
Mm-hmm.
She was explosive all season. And honestly, like, she's getting a lot of heat for that all season. Like, people were really hating on Ubah.
Mm-hmm.
She's entitled. How dare she? Like, but again, like, she was dealing with what Brynn was doing this all season. That's why
Exactly.
that's what she kept saying.
She was baiting her.
You girls are pigeons. Like, you keep twisting the stories. And, that's what was activating her,
Yeah.
was Brynn's behavior and Brynn's lies and manipulation.
Yep. 100%.
I mean,
And Ubah said, now, at least everybody sees. Right? Didn't she say something like that?
She did, but I didn't get the feeling online that people are giving Ubah the grace that she really should be getting.
You don't?
No, I still see people giving Ubah a hard time despite what happened at the end with Brynn.
That's not right.
No, it's not right. It's not.
Because, again, this whole essay aside, Brynn tries to portray herself a certain way and has from the beginning of her being on the show. She thinks she's Samantha from Sex and the City. And you portray yourself that way. You can't get mad at people for saying certain things. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I totally
and I might
agree.
get heat for saying that. But, if you talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. And you can't expect other people to not respond to your behavior.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the ladies feel like they've been taken advantage of. Erin says we need to just get through this. And then Erin gets a text from Brynn and wants to know if they're all leaving.
Yeah. She probably figured maybe they were going to stay and keep filming. Well, which they kind of did. Not a lot.
Not really, but yeah. Erin's hugging Jenna. Erin's hugging. They're all hugging each other. Like, Ubah comes, Jessel comes. Raquel kept apologizing to Jessel. I don't know why she was apologizing to Jessel so much.
Me neither.
Did you notice that?
I did notice that, and I don't know why it was so over the top. Oh, she must be questioning why she agreed. Oh, yeah, I wrote Raquel. Poor Raquel keeps apologizing to Jessel. She must be questioning herself why she agreed to do the show. That's what I wrote down. Yeah, I didn't understand the over apologizing.
Unless maybe and I don't know, maybe she was upset that Jessel told Ubah. I don't know. Like, maybe something.
Maybe she was like, oh my God, why are you going in there? We all just want to go to sleep.
Right. Like, maybe that's I don't know, though. I really don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, Jessel's like, it's okay. They asked Ubah if she's like, I don't want to go back to last night.
Yeah.
The thing that really hurt her the most is that people believed Brynn and that they thought that Ubah was capable of that. And
that's upsetting.
It is upsetting. It is upsetting. And I think I think all of them felt horrible about that. But again, there was no time to process anything. It all happened so fast.
Yeah. I mean, I think every single one of them said that. Raquel definitely said it on Watch What Happens Live.
And then Ubah, she's like, the most important thing is Brynn okay? Ubah says that when she gets back. Ubah asks if Brynn is okay, because that's the most important thing.
Was this 5 days later when they were shooting the intro pictures?
No. This was
when she got back to the house, the villa.
This is when she got back. She's still worried about Brynn.
Right.
Which, like, blows my mind. I mean, she's a good person. Then 5 days later, we're at the opening credits shoot. And like you said, that's when Raquel talks about flying back. And then we get we start to get their closing lines. Raquel and Mel still haven't made it down to Puerto Rico, but they've been to the Hamptons, where they're buying a home close to Erin and Gabe.
So funny.
And then Erin's talking. Well, she's, they're doing the makeup. She's like, Erin doesn't think Brynn is a bad person. She comes from a place of pain. And then her closing line is, Erin is done with pranks, but not surprises. She surprised Abe with a baby bump, and the baby's gender is a secret they're keeping together. I didn't even know that was a secret, so that's good.
I didn't either.
Then Sai's doesn't see Brynn as the same person. She was fun, and I'll never trust her again. And then Sai's closing line is, Sai is still on her Zen journey and has even taken up meditation. She's better off taking deep breaths, but still struggles with taking bullshit. Which is
so funny. I was listening to 2Ts today, which I have a comment about that too. And Tamara's like, huh, sounds like me. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
God.
No, it doesn't.
See, this is why I can't listen to her.
I know.
Can't.
For real.
Then Jessel said she texted Brynn. She hopes she's okay. Doesn't think she understands the gravity of all this. And Jessel's closing line is, Jessel and Pavitt recently celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary. Pavitt got her a gift, but it wasn't a baby girl. I know. Then Jenna's talking about how she has tenderness towards Brynn and Ubah. She can't say that she did it maliciously. She doesn't know. Then her closing line is, Jenna made room in her house for Cass and her kids. Her heart is full, just like her bush. Why?
Well, it's the most interesting thing that happened. Interesting thing that happened to Jenna this season. So we'll take it.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them putting them in the, I don't want to see them reenacting it.
No, we don't.
I'll watch a drawing.
All right, let's move on. Let's go on to better things. So then Ubah shows up and she's talking, and she said that she hopes that she's okay for today because she's been praying to Jesus and Allah. She says she has love in her heart. She only asks the producers that she doesn't speak to Brynn. Then Brynn shows up, and the producers tell her she has 30 minutes. And she's, her stuff and her makeup and glamour down there. And Brynn says that, it's a weird vibe in here. Ubah also says, I can't hate Brynn. It will hurt me. I can't let her cut my wings. I have to let it go so I can live my life, which I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
And then Ubah's closing line is, Ubah's moving forward with her fibroid surgery. Her recovery plan involves a lot of foot rubs from Oliver.
It hit me when I saw her closing line that she and Bose were doing the same thing. Right?
Yes. I was thinking that too, because Bozema was on Watch What Happens Live.
With Jenna,
With Jenna. Then Brynn says, Ubah doesn't seem bothered or upset. Nobody does. They take the group pictures, and those two are on opposite ends. And then Brynn's closing line is, spent some time in France learning how to cook, but she swears she's done stirring the pot. Then after they take
really might be done.
I know. Then
after anything on the show.
After they're done taking the pictures, Erin goes and says hi to Brynn, and she wants her to be okay. And she says she thinks that there is a path forward from all of this. But on Watch What Happens Live, when Andy asked Jenna if anyone has spoken to Brynn since the reunion, Jessel and Raquel were there, and they all said no.
Yeah.
And they basically, everyone is saying that she just couldn't own her shit. She couldn't apologize and own it.
From what we've seen so far, she's not acknowledging it. I mean, for her to say that the girls don't give a fuck about me. She said that at that shoot. It's like, what are you talking about? Like,
and even
you haven't acknowledged what you did. Did you apologize? Did you say I don't know.
Even still, like, that shoot was only 5 days after, right? Then she goes to the reunion. Then this airs, and then she puts out that Rolling Stone article.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on. And then Erin responded.
Down.
Yeah, it's just, she doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. And I honestly don't think that they can move forward with her.
I don't think so. It's like Phaedra, what she did to Candy. When she told Portia that Candy and Todd tried to drug her and take advantage of her.
Yeah.
I mean, Phaedra got fired for that. She's back on Bravo, but she got fired for that. Is she back on Atlanta?
Yeah, she's on the new season.
I mean, she couldn't be on there with Candy.
No,
so
well, that's
Candy
why.
Had to leave for her to get a spot back.
Yeah.
But that's a little effed up that Bravo fired her for that kind of behavior and then hired her back. Whatever. We're not talking about Atlanta.
No, we're not.
It's very similar. I was listening to 2Ts today, and so they did one show, a recap of New York and Beverly Hills. They flew through New York. They barely talked about it, all to get to Beverly Hills and basically for them to, especially Teddy, defend Kyle. This is why I can't listen to them. I cannot listen to them talk about Beverly Hills. That's all Teddy does is defend Kyle.
Well, it's her BFF.
I get it, but
She
then
shouldn't
don't
talk
cover
about
the
it.
show.
No,
It
she
should be
shouldn't talk about
Tamara with Emily or Tamara with somebody else.
Absolutely.
Just like, Tamara couldn't talk about OC. It's too close and it's nauseating. I mean, they flew through New York. Like, that was major what happened on New York. Major.
Yeah, it was major what happened on New York. You know what I think? And why did they have to do 2 in 1 episode?
I don't know. I think because I don't know. It's a good question.
I think, and I could be wrong, but I think Teddy has a lot of weight because it was her podcast first.
Yes, it was.
I know 2 T's and a pod is both of them, but I think she carries more weight.
I think because it wasn't supposed to be Tamara. I think it was supposed to be Tinsley, quite honestly. It was supposed to be somebody else with a T, but it wasn't Tamara. I think it was an East Coaster.
That's interesting.
And then for some reason that didn't work out. And then they got Tamara, I guess.
That's interesting. I was listening to David Yontef today. I haven't listened to him in a while.
Me neither.
And he was talking about a lot of different things. But one of the things he was talking about was how him and Sarah Fraser you can hire them on the weekends to help you with your podcast.
Yes.
And I was laughing because he was saying, I'll give you this advice for free. You don't even have to pay me. If you're going to do a podcast, do it by yourself and hire co-hosts. Don't ever put it together. And I was like,
whoops.
Good thing we didn't call him. And then he starts like naming all the failed ones. And he's like, look at Teresa. She had it with this one. Then that one stopped. Then she did another one. Then that one stopped. And he starts naming all these like failed podcasts. And I was like,
it's a shame. I never listened to Namaste because I don't like Teresa.
Right.
It's very obvious. So I would never listen to her anyway. But from what I understand, she and that girl, Melissa, right? It was Melissa Feaster.
Yeah.
They had a very good dynamic before Louis.
Yeah.
So that's a shame. And I think then her second one was with Louis?
Well,
Nobody's
I don't know.
Teresa.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that whole situation.
You're probably better off doing it with one of your daughters.
Yeah, she should do it with one of her daughters. Or, her tree stumps will listen no matter what she says.
Sure. But if you want to branch out of that, if you want to branch out of just that circle, don't put Louis on. I mean, I think it's pretty much, I think at this point, she's doing Kim D's podcast and Kim D's doing her podcast. That's it.
I know.
Oh, and Jackie will go on.
Yeah. And Jackie and Jen Fessler are doing their podcast together again.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the other big thing. Everyone is talking about the Justin Baldoni and
Blake Lively.
Thank you. I don't know why I keep forgetting her name.
I don't know.
Everyone is talking about it.
I honestly haven't been following it that much, but people are talking about it.
Everyone is talking about it. And the more I listen to it about it, the more I change my mind.
Really? So which way are you leaning?
I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't. I hear really good arguments for Blake's side, and then I hear really good arguments for Justin's side.
Did you listen to did the Bravo docket drop one yet about it?
I think, yes, they did one part.
That's the first thing I'm going to listen to.
They did one part. They only did one part. The next part is coming out next week. But then there's another one that I found. It's called First Something. I'll send you a link to it. They also do like legal stuff. And they were giving another side to it. Yeah, I'll send you that one.
Okay.
I've heard Heather McDonald's, but the person she had on talking about it has their own podcast. I don't remember who that was. And they were slamming her because that person was anti Blake Lively. But there's a lot of people that are anti Blake Lively.
Yeah.
Just because of who she is.
Exactly.
But I don't know. You're going to have to listen to him and let me know what you think. I really don't know. I'm really still on the fence about it. I haven't really formed an opinion yet.
Yeah.
I keep changing my mind.
And then maybe we'll do a show about it.
Yeah, we definitely should do, because I think it is interesting. And I did watch the movie. I think it's a good movie.
Maybe I'll watch it. I have a hard time with that stuff.
No, Bethany talked about it too. Bethany talked about
Well,
it
I think
too.
I saw a clip on TikTok of that.
Yeah. Did you see Bethany talking about the TikTopolis?
No.
When TikTok went out, she coined the phrase TikTopolis. Like, that's just so funny. The
She is
TikTok,
very
she's
funny,
so good.
Bethany.
Like, that's so smart. She was on like Fox News, like the next day, like telling what happened, because as TikTok was shutting down, she was doing a live with Spencer Pratt and what's her name? Another very famous TikToker from New Jersey. Again, my brain isn't working.
Not that Chrissy Balls.
Oh, no, not Chrissy Balls.
Okay.
I can't think of her name. Alex Earl. Thank you. Alex Earl, Spencer Pratt, and Bethany were doing a live TikTok together just as TikTok was shutting down. And it was Bethany's TikTok. So all of a sudden, like one of them disappears, then the other one disappears. And then like you see people's like feeds like going away. And
Oh my gosh.
Bethany's like talking about it on Instagram the next day. And then Fox News had her on and she was talking about like it was like a community. Like I felt it, you know how Bethany is, how she like takes like a a chicken salad and she turns it into like money, to be quite honest with you. She turns it into money. Or she'll take a Dior bag and turn it into money, or she'll just, and she was doing the same thing with TikTok. And then one of her podcasts, she was talking about the difference between TikTok and Instagram. And you have to listen to it. She just she's just very funny. She's like TikTok is like my Hamptons house, whereas Instagram is like where I do business. But then TikTok is like where I'm comfy. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
I'll have to listen to it. That's funny.
So I guess that's it for New York.
Yeah.
Until next time, thank you for watching and listening. Please follow us. Tell your friends. Bye.
Bye.